Hello everyone. In the last video we looked at factoring some trinomials. In this video we're going to go on to our next factoring method, which is called the difference of squares. So with the difference of squares, you take something of the form a squared minus b squared. So you're taking a square minus another square, and you could always write it as a minus b times a plus b. Let's see this with an example. We can actually, instead of working with polynomials, we can just work with numbers. So here we'll start with 25 minus 9. So we begin by taking this, we begin by thinking of what 25 is as a perfect square. Well, if we take the square root of 25, we end up getting just 5. So 25 is 5 squared. Similarly, if we take the square root of 9, we just get 3. So 25 minus 9 is 5 squared minus 3 squared. Next, we'll consider this as a minus b. Well, this is a, this is b. So a minus b is 5 minus 3 times 5 plus 3. And if we like, we can simplify this a little further. This is the same as 2 times 8, which is, of course, the same thing as 16. And, you know, that double checks out with what we started with, because 25 minus 9 is also 16. So yeah, we took this difference of squares, and then we wrote it as this product, a minus b times a plus b. Next, we'll look at this example. We have 4x squared minus 25. We'll start by looking at 4x squared. We'll take the square root of that. For that, we get 2x. Next, we'll take the square root of 25. That is just 5. So here we can see that a is 2x and b is 5. So we take a minus b and a plus b. We write 2x minus 5 and 2x plus 5. Awesome. Lastly, we're going to look at a slightly trickier example, and you'll see what I mean in a moment. So we begin with x to the fourth minus 1, and we want to factor that and think of what's the square root of x to the fourth. Well, the square root of x to the fourth is actually just x squared. So that's your a in this case, and the square root of 1 is just 1. So that is b. All right. So now we just write a minus b. So x squared minus 1 times x squared plus 1. All right. Well, continuing, we look at this and we see if we question whether we can factor this further or not from here. Well, it turns out that the factor x squared plus 1 is actually what's called irreducible. You cannot factor it any further. It's not a difference of squares, and it's not another nice factorization that we have for this. So this just stays as it is. But x squared minus 1, that's actually, again, a difference of squares. So we started with a difference of squares, and it broke up into another difference of squares as one of the factors. So now we have to factor this as a difference of squares again. Well, x squared minus 1 is the same thing as x minus 1 times x plus 1. Again, that's using a minus b. A is x, b is 1. So you have a minus b, a plus b. X minus 1 times x plus 1 times x squared plus 1. Awesome. So we factored x to the fourth minus 1, and it factored out to x minus 1 times x plus 1 times x squared plus 1. Awesome. So that concludes our video on the difference of squares.